Hello. Good morning. Welcome to All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Susan Caldwell, and I'm the Director of Religious Education here. And it's good to see all of you and to see some faces I haven't seen in a while, which is a really wonderful thing. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or you're part of our virtual congregation, if you care to worship with us, you're welcome, whatever your age, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, political affiliation, religious views, or background. Here, we take the word worship back to its Old English roots, meaning to lift up and consider matters of worth. Within these walls, our matters of worth are many and varied, but we come together united not by creed, but by covenant, by the sacred promises that we make to each other for the way that we will be together in community. Our minister is the Reverend Barbara Gerald. She is away for the next few weeks on vacation and study leave, and she's about to leave for Kerrville for the Folk Festival, where she has been nominated as a finalist in their Emerging Songwriter competition, which, so we, yes, woo, indeed. So we wish her well in that. And so we're pleased this morning to welcome three of our own members to our pulpit, Claudia Harris, Jennifer Russell, and Sally Wood, which there's so much wisdom there that I just chose alphabetical order, okay? that's how I did that. But we'll hear more from all three of them a little bit later, but right now we'll hear a few announcements from Sally Wood, who is our board president and our board person of the day.
Good morning. We are an excited church. We have lots of things going on, and you can read all of them in our newsletter. If you don't get a newsletter, please sign up and say you want a newsletter. You don't have to join the church to get one. So have information at your fingertips as to what's going on. The main thing, we're trying to shorten our list of saying what's going on, but the main things that you need to know is next Sunday is our congregational meeting to vote on the new slate of officers for the board, and we need you here. We have to have a quorum. It will be a short meeting, so you can just stay and have fun talking to each other before we start. The second thing is we have the Volunteer of the Month, who is just a beautiful woman. She just does everything for the church. You will see her almost every Sunday, and stop and say hello. Our Share the Plate is the Highland, what is it called?
Shreveport Mutual Aid.
Shreveport Mutual Aid. And you can donate to it in the baskets in the back. Just put on it that you're doing for the Pledge of the Month. If you don't have anything on it, it will go to your normal pledge. So those are the things that are happening. Everything else is in your bulletin, or you can look online, or you can look in your newsletter that you get every week. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Sally. And yes, by all means, say hello to the wonderful Volunteer of the Month. I did want to clarify, somebody brought it to my attention yesterday that I tend to use a template for those weekly emails, and I had old information on the Give Away the Plate, like it said, give away the plate to Shreveport Mutual Aid, but if you go to this, it'll give to Home is Here, but if you go to this, it'll give to Highland Center Ministries, so it's all messed up. I think I fixed it all. I think I made it all consistent. This month, for May, it is Shreveport Mutual Aid, so if you give to Give Away the Plate, if you go online and select Give to Give Away the Plate, it will go to Shreveport Mutual Aid. If you put cash in the basket, it will go to Shreveport Mutual Aid unless it's in an envelope and marked otherwise. So that's that story. I did want to tell you a couple of things. The meeting at Broadmoor Library about book banning that was planned for this afternoon has been canceled. And I also wanted to let you know that next week here in the pulpit will be a really special presentation by Kathy Osich and Bob Jordan and Susan Yellett on the Alternatives to Violence Project, AVP. And it should be a terrific service, and you'll really get to learn a lot about AVP. And this is with an eye toward planning a weekend workshop in the very near future. So you are joining us next week for the congregational meeting, right? So just come on at 11 o'clock and hear a really wonderful service and learn about a really terrific program. I think that is all we have. So I invite you to take a deep breath. And as you exhale, let your shoulders down from your ears. Thank you so much for being here. So many faces that it's so wonderful to see. And after the chime, we will sing, "Come, Come, Whoever You Are." The words will be on the screen. I think I may have forgotten to put them in the printed order service. So if you don't know it, they'll be right up there. Come, come, whoever you are, wonder, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. One more time, a little faster. Come, come, whoever you are, wonder, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Thank you. Ours is no caravan of despair, even at times when despair seems to be stalking our every step. In these times when so many people around me seem on the verge of giving in to that despair, whether from the state of the state or the state of the nation, the horror that is the current legislative session, democracy itself, the planet, and whatever storms people are weathering in their own lives in the meantime, I find odd comfort in these words from the late D. Hock. It is far too late, and things are far too bad for pessimism. Now, I will tell you that he was the founder and CEO of the Visa credit card company, so I have, I have found no references to the context in which he said it. But the contrast of the words has always struck me as surprisingly heartening and surprisingly compatible with these words of one of my heroes, Dorothy Day, the 20th century activist who founded the Catholic worker movement and whose tireless work for justice spanned most of the last sentence. The woman who may one day be Saint Dorothy Day has said, "People say, what is the sense of our small effort? They cannot see that we must lay one brick at a time, take one step at a time. A pebble cast into a pond causes ripples that spread in all directions. Each one of our thoughts and words and deeds is like that. No one has the right to sit down and feel hopeless. There is too much work to do." I've always loved that quote. My daughter has asked me if and when we plan to move to Oregon, and I've always answered, "But Delia, every day I wake up in Louisiana, I know there's something to do." But this morning, I will take issue with just one little part of St. Dorothy's sentiment, the part that says no one has the right to sit down and feel hopeless. Because I think that can be hard to hear when all in the world you want to do in the moment is to sit down and feel hopeless. So I tell you today that you have that right. Ash and Kevin have been teaching the younger children that they have a right to their feelings, and you do too. Maybe you need a few minutes out of every day just for the purpose of sitting down and feeling hopeless. But if we were all in the elementary class, we would also learn that not only do we have the right to our feelings, but that how we act on our feelings is also important. What can we do with our feelings to help us reach beyond the hopelessness of the moment? Can we write about them? Can we draw them? Can we walk outside and let nature remind us that life is always renewing itself? Just this morning, Barbara Dager brought up that listening to birdsong has actually been proven to be helpful for depression, to be helpful for our mental health. So can we go outside and listen to the birds? Can we meditate, pray, sing, dance, run, bounce on a trampoline, or just talk to a friend? This morning, we'll learn from our speakers and from each other how we might be drawn from that place of hopelessness to the words that Julian of Norwich heard. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. Can I get some help with the children's chalice lighting this morning? Are you ready? We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving heart. Together, with mind, hands, and heart, we care for the earth and for each other. Thank you, Ava. Why a flaming chalice? The question comes. It's the cup of life, we answer. A cup of blessings overflowing, a cup of water to quench our spirit's thirst, a cup of wine for celebration and dedication, the flame of truth, the fire of purification, oil for anointing and healing. Out of chaos, fear, and horror, thus was the symbol crafted a generation ago to rescue thousands from persecution and death. So may it be for us in these days of uncertainty, sorrow, and injustice, a light to warm our souls and guide us home. Will you join me, please, rise in body or spirit for the unison affirmation, and the words will be on the screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the sacred. Thus do we covenant with each other. Oh, I forgot about serving human needs. And that's a really important one, too. So sorry about that. To seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the sacred. Thus do we covenant with each other. Thank you. You know, the Amish on purpose leave mistakes in their quilts, and it's the hole that lets the spirit in, so this is a very spirit-filled service. I'd like to invite members of the choir that feel comfortable doing so to come up and lead Gather the Spirit. It's 347 in the hymnal if you need it, or the words are, I think, correctly in the order of service.
Oops.
I can get to the right page.
And you may rise in body or spirit.
Gather the Spirit, harvest of power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials in this life appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks. Gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the soul in our laden store. Nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate
So how is it with your soul? And I'd like to ask all of you the question, how are you doing in your innermost heart? But even more importantly, how are you taking care of your innermost heart, your spirit, your feelings? What are you doing for yourself when you feel sad or angry or just plain overwhelmed? What helps? And I've asked Ava to help me this morning. Whoever would like to share with us. And we're talking, a sentence or two, not a soliloquy. But if you would like to share, I'll tell you that if this helps, my alternative title for this service was, what was it? Talk it out, walk it out, write it out, sit it out, And so if that helps kind of spur and it can be your spiritual practice, or it can be your just plain coping skills. This morning we talked about just taking a breath before anything, before you have to solve a math problem, or before you have to have a difficult conversation, just taking a breath, just that act of stopping and breathing can be in itself a coping skill, a calming. But yeah, Jean's right here, Ava.
Sitting, listening to my cat purr, and just, in a sense, meditating on the vibration.
Yeah, I hear that. I have a cat too. Yeah.
Listening to classical, any music, but classical music tends to work the best. And then walking, being in nature, walking.
So walking and classical music. I agree about both, really. Anybody else?
Yoga and being in my garden, seeing things grow, particularly flowers. Flowers are kind of like smiles to me.
Nice. Yoga and growing flowers.
Listening to rainstorm sounds, especially if it's real, it's even better, but yeah. on the audio also.
Right, yeah. Laughing.
Seeing the humor in everything.
Yes. That's a big one for me. That's a big one in my family of origin and the family I've created.
Cuddling with my puppy dog.
Yes. I think pets are incredible for lowering your blood pressure. I mean, I think there's actually some research about that. Anybody else?
I think when I find that I don't understand something that I'm reading, I reach a level of satisfaction. Because I know you never really understand everything. And if you're at a book and you think you know exactly what it's telling you, keep reading till you're confused.
I love that. Remembering we don't know everything and learning. I love that. Anybody else? These are some good ones. What about you, Ava? What do you do?
So what?
So, I don't mean to put you on the spot. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I know you've...
I like going on walks.
Floating is a really nice feeling too, just getting in some water and sticking your ears underneath the surface so all you can hear is your breath and letting go and letting something else hold you for a bit.
Yes. And I've talked to a couple of friends that have actually gone and done one of those floating tanks now too, which sounded pretty, but yeah, I love just floating in any water. Yeah, Natalie?
Watching our cats playing catnip. We have a catnip. We have lots of catnip at our house, so we like watching them.
watching your cats play in catnip. That is fun. That is fun. Is that everybody? I don't want to. You got one? Over here, Ava. Well, let Ava get to you so everybody gets to hear you.
Playing on my iPad.
Yeah, I talked to someone this week who said she just sometimes just finds herself playing solitaire on her phone. Just a moment away from stuff. Well, thank you all so much for sharing. I want to make sure if anybody has anything else. Thank you. I'll just remind you of, thank you. Something that I've told you about before, which is the 5 senses grounding exercise. If you find yourself overwhelmed and that you just really need something to kind of calm yourself in the moment, think of 5 things you can see right around you, name them out loud. Think of 4 things you can hear as you listen right around you, name them out loud. Think of 3 things you can feel and go around and touch them and name them. 2 things you can smell. And if there is something handy nearby to taste, like a really good piece of chocolate, and some people might say just skip to the chocolate, but if there's something nearby that you can taste, you can do all 5 senses. And if not, for that last one, what do? Do you remember, Jackson? Take one big breath, that's right. And then just let it out. You may want to take 2 or 3. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing. We will sing the children and youth to their classes. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. I want to invite anybody from the choir again that can help me. I'd like us to do meditation on breathing. I think it's 10:06 in the teal hymnal, but the words are really simple. Do we know what note it starts on? And is it a note we want to use?
No, that's not it.
That's not it?
Here it is, 10:09.
10:09.
I may have to look on yours. I think it's pretty simple.
Okay, so the low voices, whoever wants to, you go. Breathe in.
Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out.
When I breathe
in,
I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, If you'll join me in a spirit of meditation and prayer. Source and spirit of all life, help us remember when we most need reminding that the word spirit comes from the word for breath. And so remind us to stop and breathe when we would sit and feel hopeless, when our spirit is in need of renewal, when anxiety and stress have pushed our shoulders up closer to our ears. May the inhale indeed bring us peace, and may the exhale bring us relief and breathe out love. May we always take time to tend to our spirit, that we might be nurtured for the work that is ours to do, yet cognizant of the rest we need. May we remember the joy to be found in service and justice work, and may we find the balance and health to stay engaged and not to burn out. We pray to be a community of care in which we hold each other accountable to that balance. In that spirit, let us mindfully enter the silence.
Oh, gather up the brokenness and bring it to me now. The fragrance of those promises you never dared to vow. The splinters that you carry, the cross you left behind. Come healing of the body, come healing of the mind, and let the heavens hear it, the penitential hymn. Come healing of the spirit, come healing to the broken heart above. Let the heavens falter, and let the earth proclaim, come healing of the altar, come healing of the name. Oh, longing of the branches to lift the little bud. Oh, longing of the arteries to purify the blood. And let the heavens hear it, the penitential hymn, come healing of the spirit, come healing of the limb. Oh, let the heavens hear it, the penitential hymn, come healing of the spirit, come healing of the limb.
I am going to ask our three speakers just to come up one after the other, and starting with Claudia Harris, and I want to thank them all again for helping us out today. See if I can do that.
So, I will tell you what I do, or how I try to take care of my soul or to cope, and just some of the underpinnings of it. So I think that coping is not just to maintain, but I think it's to grow. I think we're not just trying to transform away from things, but transform toward things. So, and I don't think coping is something that just happens, but it's the recognition that we need to cope, and it's essential to living well. I mean, people have always been through fraught times. It's just sometimes it's our time to go through, it's ours to go through these times. Problems, stress, despicable politicians, horrible world situations are real, but no more real than strengths, resources, our abilities to adapt, avoid, accept, and alter as necessary. So I thought about my ABCs of coping, because I did have a couple of days' notice of doing this, so I kind of thought about it a little bit anyway. And the first thing is I put active or in action. And one of the things that I do every day is I work out. I do some Pilates sort of thing. I do work on balance. I do calisthenics because I just think I feel better when I do it. I feel stronger. I try to ride my bike when I can. Some of that is because I enjoy the bike, and some of it is to not leave as much, a littler footprint if I can. Another A, and this is building a sense of agency, and that is I am capable. When I look for my competencies, I'll find them. And I think that's important, is some idea that I can learn from my mistakes. Another A was awe. I read a book, I started reading a book the other day, and it's about this, I forget the researcher's name, but was looking into awe. And what he said, it's the feeling of being in the presence of something that transcends our current understanding, and that we can be intentional about it, and we can look for experiences that will give us awe. And whether this is in what he called moral beauty, and that is ordinary people doing courageous, kind, and resilient things, and that we can take inspiration from this. Nature, music, art, the birds singing, all of this can inspire awe. and that we can look, when we look for something, we are much more likely to find it. I also have learned to avoid certain things, to disengage from things that are vexations to my soul. I want to stay informed, but I don't want to be inundated by relentless sorties of bad news, bad deed doers, because to me this is just demoralizing. It's like a binge of negativity without a way to do anything about it. So my decision, I want to do what I can in the areas I can, and to avoid the things or too much of the things that just make me feel other than awe, I can say. It's kind of like I wouldn't watch a horror movie, a slasher movie, a grisly movie if I can help it. I'm not going to watch the Walking Dead, the blah, 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 because it's just, this is not awe-inspiring for my soul. I mean, it may be for everybody else's, but I'm just saying what works for me. Moving to the B's in this is like balance, because, with balance, it's perspective, context, and, looking for that, between spiritual, secular, in all the areas. And then the beliefs that undergird my sense of coping. One is that I think I am capable, I'm resilient, I am resourceful. I remember when I was 16, I was a waitress, and I was working, it was my first day at the downtown Howard Johnson's in New Orleans. And I remember this guy, this older guy, probably in his 30s at that point. Anyway, and I remember his name, Ben Westbury. And he said, he could tell I was scared, I guess. He said, this is the way it works. He said, 15% of the people you wait on, you're not going to ever be able to please. They're always going to be upset, whatever. 15% are going to be, no matter what you do, if you spill the food on top of their head, whatever, they're going to be fine. They're going to tip you and they'll be okay. And said the rest of them, it's like what you do for them, they'll give it back. It'll be a give and take thing. And I figured out that was 70%. So in this system, I figured I had an 85% chance that people were going to be decent, and so I was going to find those 85%, and that has been kind of a guiding principle in my life. Another belief is that fundamentals count. As I've shared before, when I was learning to swim, my dad was teaching me. He said, come to the deep water, and I said, I don't know how to swim. I don't know that. And he said, it's the same stroke, shallow water, deep water. You just do the fundamentals. And I said, okay. I believe that nothing of consequence, everything of consequence has a method. Nothing gets worse with practice. It's my belief that we are not born strong, brave, resilient, but with work and perseverance, we can learn these just like we learn to read and write. My belief is that time helps me. I believe everything passes. And I believe that we should leave the campground, i.e. Earth, better than we found it. The C's are being curious, which means I'm being open. When I'm confused about something, I just want to ask myself, what more do I need to know? I believe that I can imagine things more positively. I can be generous with my interpretation of things so that I'm looking for what's okay rather than what I disagree with or what I don't understand. I try to experience a positive imagination, and that is to not have a failure of imagination. Choices, I'm more than what happens to me. I can make choices, and this belief is empowering, is that I can make choices. In terms of the spiritual realm, I believe church is important. I pray daily. I meditate every night. Years ago, you read all the self-help books, say meditate, meditate, meditate. About 2 to 3 years ago, I thought, maybe there's something to this. But I thought, I'm not going to sit for 20 minutes twice a day. I thought, no. So every night before I go to bed, I meditate, and it probably is about 8 to 10 minutes. I do a loving kindness meditation, affirmations, breathing exercises, and I find it to be helpful. Looking for blessings, things I'm grateful for, as I talked about earlier, looking for things that are awesome, because I do think we will find more, when we're looking for something, we have a better chance of finding it. I try to put my emotional and physical energy into the decent part of the world. Like someone said earlier in here, a sense of humor I think helps. I always, whenever anything's going on and I think it feels like a crisis or tragic, I always think, this will be funny sometime. I mean, I know in the future this is going to be funny. If it doesn't kill me right now, it's going to be funny later. And to end it, I read a quote by Elie Wiesel. When asked to summarize a good life, he said 4 words: think higher, live deeper. So thank you.
Good morning. So I'm going to open with some words from Karen Walrond. And if you don't know of her, she's the author of a book called The Light Maker's Manifesto: How to Work for Change Without Losing Your Joy. And if it's not on your radar, I recommend it. She says, activism, in order to have longevity to it, has to have a rhythm to it. There's an ebb and a flow. Sometimes you're in it hard and you fight, and sometimes you have to stop. You have to be able to regenerate. If we feel guilty about the joy, then the bad guys win. Is it just me, or does it feel like the bad guys are winning? It feels like they're working overtime, trying to erase history, further disenfranchise the marginalized, dehumanize the LGBTQIA+ community, destroy our forests, air, and water, offend or ignore the bedrock principles of our democracy, and intrude into the most personal and precious of healthcare decisions. Earlier this week, I was at work and a coworker popped into my office and he says, "Hey, the legislature's in session. Who have they hurt today?" And the answer to that is both scary and overwhelming in its magnitude and its breadth. It feels crippling. When I'm in those moments where I feel crippled, I find myself in mental and emotional spaces that are not healthy for me as an individual or for myself as a citizen who needs to be engaged with these atrocities. In those moments, it feels easier to ignore it, to threaten to move to Canada, to lose myself in social media or trash TV or bonbons or whatever it is. But that's not who I want to be. And it's not who my Unitarian Universalist faith challenges and calls and helps me to be. I'm far from an expert at this, but I told Susan I'd give it a shot. When I'm in the midst of that type of burnout, and there are some things that I've found that help me, and self-compassion practices are at the top of that list. Dr. Kristen Neff, she's a psychology professor at the University of Texas in Austin. She's probably the current preeminent scholar as far as research on self-compassion. And she's identified through her research 2 types of self-compassion. And those 2 types are tender self-compassion and fierce self-compassion. So she uses the metaphor of a bear to illustrate the 2 different types. So tender self-compassion is represented by a parent bear, mother, father, that's holding its cub to its chest, caressing the cub, caring for him as the cub is nursing an injury. So it's that nurturing, tender side. Fierce self-compassion, on the other hand, is represented by a mama bear. So teeth bared, claws at the ready, the cub is hiding behind her hindquarters, resting in the assurance that whatever is coming for it or threatening it is going to have to come through mama bear first. And we need both of these types of self-compassion. So tender self-compassion, like a nurturing parent, allows us to accept ourselves as we are. It provides a safe space where we can expose our vulnerabilities and allows us to be present with our pain, our anger, our fear, or whatever else the legislature is bringing up for us. Fierce self-compassion, on the other hand, involves our acting in the world to alleviate suffering, including our own suffering. It's epitomized in the self-compassionate acts of protecting, providing, and motivating. We protect ourselves when we set boundaries and say no when we need to say no. We provide for ourselves by saying yes to our needs. We motivate ourselves by learning and intentionally seeking out opportunities to be discomforted or confronted with circumstances that compel us to action. At its core, tender self-compassion would have us ask ourselves, what do I need right now? And then fierce self-compassion has us take whatever action is dictated by the answer to what do we need right now. When I'm being tenderly self-compassionate, it's often at the level of my own self-talk, the narrative in my own mind. When I counter the narrative in my head that my activism efforts don't matter because of what state we're in or what part of the country, that I haven't done as much as others, or as much as I could have. It looks like basic wellness practices, getting good rest, good nutrition, connecting with the earth and with my body. It looks like making time for my meditation practice, which is an essential part of emotional housekeeping for me. And when I'm being fiercely self-compassionate, I'm challenging myself to examine my own privileges. I'm doing my own emotional labor instead of demanding that those with less privilege than I do it for me. I'm maintaining boundaries, and particularly with regard to the sources of noise that I allow to have access to me and to my mental space. This balance between tender and fierce self-compassion and between action and despondency is something that I imagine I'm going to struggle with for the rest of my life. I'm finding that either of the two types of self-compassion and isolation or in the extreme become self-indulgent and devolve into insular navel gazing. In those moments where I find the balance between the two, I'm cared for and refreshed. I'm grounded in and equipped to manage the emotions that are a natural response to the things that are coming out of Baton Rouge or DC or other seats of government across the world. I long and work for the world where activism in pursuit of basic human rights that we thought were long settled is not needed, but I live here in the not yet. And while I do that, I hope that I can be tenderly and fiercely compassionate to myself and others. Thank you for listening. Vote, call your legislatures, and be your own mama bears.
Nothing like coming after two extremely gifted professionals and speakers. Mine's a little different. I have to tell you that to be somebody who takes care of your soul, you have to be someone who knows yourself. You have to be ready to stop when you need to stop and go when you need to go. And if you don't know yourself, you'll continue on a path that will bring you down. I am a long-suffering depressive. Started my medication when I was 25. So I have been on medication for a very long time. And I understand and I appreciate Susan saying you have the right to be depressed. I have the right to do that because that is my body, that is my chemical makeup, that is who I am. But it's not who I am. I am more than my depression. To get to that point, to be more than my depression, I take my medication. It's always better living through chemistry for a depressive. It just is. And at one point I tried not to take it. It wasn't working and I had to get off of it for a while so I could rethink which medication I'm going to take. And I tell you, it was hell. It was just awful. Depressive and an introvert. That's me. To be with people who say, oh, just do things with people and you'll be better, it drains me. I have about 2 hours max that I can do that in a healthy, loving way. And then after that, I need to go home. So a lot of the things that work for some people don't work for me to get out of a mind spend. There is a book that I have been working with. There's from Oxford University, there's The New Psychology of Depression. And it's how mindfulness can help depressives get out of their circle of talk that goes on in their head. There's an 8-week short book that goes along with the podcast that gives you things to do during those 8 weeks. Those things are not just for depressives. They'll help everyone. Part of the problem when you are in that state of dire need for somebody to take over your life for you, part of that problem is not being able to get out of the circle of thought. Not being able to say, oh, I am not smart, and I am not smart, I am not smart. Have it echoing throughout the whole entire day. How do you get out of that? The best way I have learned from doing this 8-week meditation that I am continuing, I'm now on week 32 of the 8-week thing. But part of it is recognizing you are here now. You are in this room. You are with people who love you. You are in a good spot. Your hair is short and curly and fun for the first time in a while. Getting into right here, getting away from the things that are happening further away from you. Sometimes I do not watch TV, news TV, for a week. I do not plan on ever being uninformed, so I'm not. But the advantage of that is I hear the catastrophe, I see what was done with the catastrophe, and the catastrophe is over in one day and instead of 7. So that helps my mental attitude. And my mental attitude has everything in the world to do with my soul. I cannot take care of my soul if my mental is getting in the way. If I spend all my energy on my mental well-being, it's hard to take care of your soul. And you may think, aren't they one and the same? They are not. They are not one and the same. Mental is what you're thinking. Mental is what your body is telling you. Mental is all the things that happen around you, seeing them, absorbing them with your eyes and ears, and letting them enter your body. Your soul starts from the inside. And to be able to grow that soul and make it okay, even when you're in the depth of depression, is a tough thing to do if you don't stay on top of your depression. So I stay on top of my depression. I know myself, I take care of myself, and I get to where I need to be when I need to be there. But my soul is something else. My soul takes place with love, practicing love, being loved, accepting love, watching and looking for love around you in the least likely places. That is the only thing that feeds my soul. And I see it everywhere, and I look for it everywhere. And if you're never heard of a yellow car, you're not going to look for a yellow car, but as soon as somebody says yellow car, you see them everywhere. So look for the love everywhere. It's out there. It will feed your soul. It will tell you not everything is dire. Not everything is defeat. Not everything is unattainable. You can attain, you can grow, you can love, and by God, I am smart. Thank you.
Here, got a music stand.
Susan, do you have a suggestion for a key?
Do I have a suggestion for a key? Do we know what key it is in the hymnal?
I can find a key, but
Let's
some
do it
keys-
in your key.
Okay.
We're going to sing Peace Like a River, and the words will be on the screen. And you may rise in body or spirit.
We'll do it in G.
All right.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul, in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul, in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got aim like an arrow. I've got aim like an arrow. I've got aim like an arrow in my soul. I've got aim like an arrow. I've got aim like an arrow. I've got aim like an arrow in my soul. I've got tears like rain. I've got tears like raindrops. I've got tears like raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like raindrops. I've got tears like raindrops. I've got tears like raindrops in my soul. I've got strength like the mountain. I've got strength like the mountain. I've got strength like the mountain in my soul. I've got strength like the mountain. I've got strength like the mountain. I've got strength like the mountain in my soul. I've got peace like the river. I've got peace like the river.
No matter how weak or how frightened or how tired we may feel, we each have gifts that can make a difference in the world. In the coming week, may you do at least one thing, even one small thing, to support the broken, to welcome the stranger, to notice beauty in unexpected places, to celebrate what is worthy, to look for the yellow cars and the love, to do the work of justice and love. Be strong, be connected, and each day act so you may be a little more whole. Thank you so much, Claudia and Jennifer and Sally. That was wonderful. Go in peace.
My life flows on in endless song above Earth's lamentation. I hear the real, the far off hymn that hails a new creation.
No storm can shake my little song, while to them I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from while all the time the stormy roars, I know the truth.